It was a bright, sunny morning. The birds chirped happily outside. Tim woke up early, feeling a mix of excitement and fear. Today was his very first day at school. He jumped out of bed and rushed to the window. The sky was clear, painted in soft blue. "Big day today, Tim," his mom called from the kitchen. Tim smiled nervously. He got dressed carefully. His new school uniform felt stiff and strange. The buttons on his shirt were a little tricky, but he managed after a few tries. Tim's backpack was waiting by the door. It was bright blue, with a yellow star stitched on the front. Inside were new pencils, fresh notebooks, and a small box of crayons. Tim loved the smell of new crayons. He grabbed his bag and went downstairs. His dad was waiting with a camera. "Smile, champ," Dad said, snapping a photo. Tim grinned awkwardly. After breakfast, they all got into the car. The ride to school felt much shorter than Tim expected. His heart beat faster as they pulled up to the big red brick building. There were children everywhere, running, laughing, shouting. Some kids clung tightly to their parents. Others raced toward the entrance without looking back. Tim held his mom's hand tightly. "Don't worry," she whispered. "You're going to have a great day." At the front gate, a friendly teacher smiled at them. "Welcome, Tim," she said warmly. Tim smiled back, though his stomach felt like it was doing somersaults. The teacher bent down and pinned a sticker on his shirt. It had his name written in big, cheerful letters, Tim. He felt a little braver seeing it. "Go on, honey," Mom said, giving him a gentle push. Tim took a deep breath. He walked into the building, step by careful step. Everything looked so big. The walls, the doors, even the water fountains. The hallway smelled like books and crayons. Tim passed colorful paintings hung on the walls. A girl with pigtails smiled and waved. Tim waved back shyly. At the end of the hall there was a classroom with bright balloons. A big sign said, "Welcome, kindergartners." Inside, there were small tables and tiny chairs. There were building blocks and picture books everywhere. The teacher, Miss Parker, knelt down to greet him. "Hi, Tim, I'm so glad you're here," she said kindly. Tim's voice was tiny. "Hi," he whispered. Miss Parker showed him where to put his backpack. Tim hung it on a hook with a blue sticker. He sat down at a table with 3 other kids. There was a boy stacking blocks very carefully. A girl was coloring inside the lines with bright pink crayons. Another boy was chewing on the end of his pencil. "Hi, I'm Liam," said the boy with the blocks. "I'm Mia," said the girl with the crayons. Tim felt his face turn red. "Hi, I'm Tim," he managed to say. Miss Parker clapped her hands. "All right, friends, let's start with a story." Everyone sat on a colorful rug. Tim tucked his legs under him and listened. Miss Parker read a book about a little lion who was scared of school. Tim smiled. He knew just how that lion felt. After the story, they sang a silly song about the alphabet. Tim forgot to feel nervous while he sang. Then it was time to explore the classroom. Tim and Liam built a tall tower with blocks. The tower wobbled dangerously. Mia helped them steady it with careful hands. When it finally stood tall, everyone cheered. Tim laughed. A real happy laugh. They painted pictures of animals. Tim painted a bright green dinosaur. Miss Parker said it was very ferocious. Tim beamed with pride. At snack time, Tim pulled out a little box of crackers. Liam had apple slices and shared some with them. They talked about dinosaurs and superheroes. Tim realized he liked talking to Liam. Recess was the best part. They ran outside into the sunshine. Tim climbed up the slide and zoomed down fast. The wind in his hair felt amazing. He raced Mia to the swings. They swung higher and higher, laughing loudly. When the bell rang, everyone lined up to go back inside. Tim didn't feel scared anymore. Back in class, they practiced writing their names. Tim wrote his slowly, making sure each letter looked nice. Miss Parker gave him a star sticker. Tim stuck it proudly on his shirt. Before he knew it, the day was almost over. They sang one more song and packed up their things. Tim put his crayon box carefully back into his backpack. He didn't want this day to end so soon. At the front gate, his mom was waiting. Tim ran into her arms, grinning. "How was your first day, sweetheart?" she asked. "It was awesome," Tim said. In the car ride home, Tim talked and talked. About Liam, about Mia, about the dinosaur painting. At dinner, he told his dad about the giant block tower. "And we didn't even knock it over," Tim added proudly. That night, Tim lay in bed, tired but happy. His new backpack hung by the door, ready for tomorrow. He thought about all the fun he had, all the friends he made. Maybe school wasn't scary after all. Maybe it was just the beginning of something wonderful. Tim closed his eyes with a smile. Tomorrow was another day to learn, play, and grow. And he couldn't wait.